My name is John Preiditsch. I'm here today to talk to you a bit about how ERP works. I have over 35 years of experience in the ERP space, helping companies with their business systems to become more profitable. I've engaged over 1,000 companies, and I've seen a lot of different scenarios in terms of companies trying to improve, but really this is a magical balance of people, process, and technology, helping your people develop a sustainable, growth-oriented process set to tame the technology. Really, ERP is about integrating your entire organization for control, for profitability. And for many of you out there that have been struggling to get control of your business, playing whack-a-mole with your processes, trying to get on top of performance improvements, department by department type work is challenging. ERP, as you'll find out today, is a little bit more holistic in its approach. So trying to do the same things and expecting different results may not be the best choice. So today we're going to cover off a few topics. Clearly, this is about ERP. What is ERP? What are the challenges? How can it be deployed? What is the business impact and considerations for the future? So when we think about what is ERP, we're really good in our industry around acronyms. So I want to break this down. Enterprise Resource Planning has its roots as developed and founded by the APEX organization, which is now called the Association for Supply Chain Management. Over 50 years ago, IBM, looking for better ways to improve the use of their computers, realized there was a lot of challenges, not just financial, but operational. And they coined and developed MRP with 3 individuals, in fact 4, that went off to build out a controlled system to help them calculate requirements for manufacturers. So MRP is at the heart of ERP. Manufacturers requirements planning is that formula system you'll hear a little bit about today as one of the elements that brings value to an enterprise resource planning system. It's really about departmental collaboration, getting everybody on the same page. The concept is that it helps you deploy any of your lean initiatives efficiently. Really, capture once, share with many. It allows you to manage and measure, allowing you to create improvement metrics, create standards, and understand what's really happening in your business day to day. It really supports best practices. This is the concept that somebody has actually solved problems. APEX and the Association for Supply Chain Management has come up with many ways to manage your business in a proven path methodology, regardless of your style. Particularly the big ones: scheduling, supply chain, product costing. It really has a wide breadth of capability. Its integrated capabilities range the entire company. Today in this world of there's an app for that, the real foundational solutions are found in ERP and can be extended and today compete with those best of breed individual products. So as an integrated solution, we're sharing information efficiently. Again, one version of the truth: information that is shared, master data that is defined, and it's shared throughout the organization. And ultimately, through your ability to manage and measure, you can set key performance indicators, again, another acronym, KPIs, for your company, each department, and the individuals on your team who can drive those improvements using the real-time measuring stick of what's happening in the business. Are costs out of control? Are we achieving our schedules? Things like that. So really, it's about creating that visibility and putting it in the hands of people who can do something about it. So I like to jokingly call ERP the Excel replacement program, because Excel is notorious for being an island unto itself and prone to errors. So ERP does solve a number of challenges. If you think about customer service, the ability to quickly access information: where is my order? It's the old needle in the haystack question. Where is it? When am I getting it? At what status is it? And so the idea that you can estimate, configure products and quotes very quickly in a profitable manner with a feedback loop for estimating and quoting to learn what they did wrong in the past and how to improve it. But with real-time costing, they're always quoting based on the current market conditions. When I talk about costing, true product cost is important, but also tracking and scheduling of your resources, your operations, your orders, being able to maximize your output, truly efficiently run the business with clear processes and roles and responsibilities. When people understand what it is they need to do, what their job entails, how to do it right, I'm sure they will respond and enjoy the fact that there is a structure in your business where doing it right the same time or the same way each time will create consistency. It will also create consistency of the data that you collect from observing those processes. So really, the idea that you can also budget. So if you're growing, if you're looking at controlling your growth, understanding that at certain levels you're going to need to further invest in the business, understanding the timing of that, ERP has tools for it. I mentioned earlier key performance indicators, but really decision support. When you see a condition, bringing this information in an accurate format to the people that can do something about it and that can make decisions that are well informed and accurate. Many companies spend a lot of time arguing about the source of their data. Again, another spreadsheet problem. And so they get into meetings and they argue about that source. ERP allows you to create this one version of the truth, one system of record. And so I like to say that this really helps your company turn into a proactive business versus reactive. Reactive is dealing with what comes at you. Proactive is looking at a dashboard, seeing out into the future a condition, and being able to react to it and change your course before the impact of that situation. ERP is designed to do that for you. So I really like to re-emphasize, departmental improvements are great, and they start to level set the idea that improvement's important, that there are better ways to do it. But if everybody improves independently, it's not going to help the business. A lot of people don't realize just how inaccurate a spreadsheet could be. And there's many legendary scenarios that are now coming forth where spreadsheets have caused a lot of errors. And so billions of dollars each year is lost through inaccurate information, specifically spreadsheets. So what does an ERP system comprise? It really has multifaceted capabilities. I'm going to start over here at financials. And so for those of you that are thinking from an accounting perspective, accounting is what happens when everything else runs right. It's a rear view of exactly what happened, but allowing finance people to become more proactive and budget conscious, the information that a financial person collects today in a standalone finance system with a standalone group of spreadsheets or manufacturing system that does not talk to the finance system, it is extremely laborious, and they end up looking at what did I buy, what did I make and ship and invoice, and what's in the bank right now and what's in inventory. That we flip that completely. Real-time costing is happening every time somebody puts labor into work, receives something, buys something, creates commitments, and ships something. That's all going to come to the finance department immediately and allows finance teams to look at things more proactively, manage budgets, grow the business, and understand some of the pinch points of where the business is being challenged, and really truly become a strategist. I'm sure all of you accountants out there did not go to school just to run a spreadsheet. And again, things like balance sheets, trial balances, and metrics are going to be more automatic. But at the heart of the system is the operations. And so starting with customer relationship management, being able to track your customers, control opportunities and leads, in fact, track marketing campaigns and outputs of your investments in marketing. And arm your sales team with mobile devices so that they can, in the field, configure quotes, talk to their clients about the status of their orders, or just simply gather information and call notes. That moves into sales management. In sales management, we're taking that quote and estimate that we're building, we're comparing it to previous costs in real time. That could be a workflow that has engineers and quoting estimators involved, converting those quotes into orders and immediately having demand in your system. You can also have forecasts. So if you have a long-term customer with repeat orders, putting a forecast out there helps you manage your planning. EDI demand management, This is the automation of orders right into your system from your customers. You can also communicate with suppliers. Under the product management side, that's our engineering. That's the definition of the bill of materials, the routing, the baseline for the costing. And this means that you can do engineering changes, import from CAD systems, and control documentation and version control, not just around the parts list that's going into the product, but the processes under which you will manage that product. So how I will assemble it, how I will fabricate it, how I will machine it, how I will inspect it, and the information that's going to be required for my customer. Some of our customers are into projects, and so that brings things under a bigger umbrella or a smaller umbrella for that customer, under which we can have design records, engineering records, and building a time and materials or progress billing project as we collaborate with our customers. But really, the heart of this is the production side. So when we talk about production, this is the idea that you have a job or work order under which we need to be able to produce something. And this could be reported upon in a Kanban manner. You can include quality, so incoming inspections, in-process inspections, and not just pass-fail. This is also a material review board with non-conformances, corrective actions, and you can get right down to SPC level charting of the capability of your product and its quality parameters. On the shop floor, you can have a MES system. MES can come in multiple formats. The simple one would be a human interface to report production, time and attendance, and quantities of materials produced to update your real-time job costing and your production status. But it also can interface to machines. Supply chain management is looking at all of my purchases, my inventory, the warehouse management if needed, and allowing you to track and control the flow of those materials right through to shipping and from receiving. Planning and scheduling brings it all together, and I'm going to hit hard on that a little later, but the idea that you need to cost track and schedule your business is something that every manufacturing, and in fact beyond, distribution, operations, service companies have in common. The idea that you need to manage your production schedules, tie those production schedules to the material supply and the capacity that needs to be available at the time that you said that you're going to make it. In order to keep something on time, you have to have some of these ideas of standards over time. And so what I've learned is many customers don't have these standards well developed. A good system should allow you to run production on an actual basis and use that as a standard in the future to go forward, capturing really what's happening. And so this could also mean what if scenarios, finite and infinite scheduling, which we'll get into in a moment. So I'll really quickly walk you through what typically you would see in any kind of demonstration. So at the heart of the system is some form of product data, but customer data, being able to quote, being able to track, turning that into information that engineering may need to collaborate on, such as, hey, I need help estimating this product or project, and then moving through to an order. An order, it could be a contract for a project. It could be just a standard order for something we have on the shelf, or it could be make to order or some sort of mixed mode, tailored, configured product. Once an order is in the system, the MRP kicks in. This is the big calculator. Many companies struggle with the idea that scheduling can be done in spreadsheets, but every time there's a change, it takes me half a day to rejig my schedule. In most modern ERP systems, that's a real-time net change situation. You can do a regen in the evening, which looks at everything across the company. And then during the day, you can run a what-if scenario based on, what if I took this order right now? What would be the result? Also, we just learned from a supplier they're not going to be able to bring some materials on time. And, something got scrapped in process, and we now need to replace it, and we don't have spares. So those impacts are real life scenarios. You want to keep your resources running, and you want to keep those people utilized and the machinery utilized. And so setting one aside and prioritizing another until that material shows up is going to be key. So linked to planning is supply chain management and, of course, scheduling. So this is the capacity side. So once we've got all that in the system, we're going to ship an invoice. On the other side of the equation is receiving materials based on requirements, and everything has a financial impact. So there's a forecasted cost of materials. I'm going to receive it in 30 days. I owe that money in another 15 days. That sets up a cash flow perspective. And then every time I add value to work in process, which could be this job on the floor, adding materials, adding labor, I have sunk cost into my work in process. When I ship it, we close out and confirm that estimate versus actual and confirming your profit. And for those of you that have multi-currency scenarios, it's also going to lock in the value of and the exchange changes that occur during that time frame. So jumping into software, this is what a typical order might look like. Being able to drill into things, look at lists of past orders, even build orders from previous history. Purchasing an MRP should bring into context the idea that in order to produce and plan my production, I need to have the timing right around my materials. So this is what's in stock today, what's incoming, and what jobs are drawing it down to give me what is a truly perpetual inventory based on future views of production. Tomorrow and the next day, we're going to use a lot of that material for these specific orders. What is the impact of that? And what is the impact of scrap? And how soon am I getting more? And creating that continuous flow in terms of improving that. Scheduling and labor on the production side, this is the ability for you to understand your true capacity and put it to work for you to make sure that really you're getting greater throughput, using your resources wisely and efficiently, and making sure that you're getting the right orders out at time and not making a lot of just in case production. Shipping and receiving can automate all the forms for cross-border, commercial invoices, and customer certs and steel certs, because we're going to be tracking lot serial information from the time I receive it through the work in process and the time I ship it. And so many companies use ERP in health sciences, aerospace, automotive, and high compliance industries where process machines and equipment need to be tracked and managed for failure. Financially, all of this is coming together into the general ledger. So transactions in the inventory, material planning, work in process is all coming together and bringing in real-time costing from what we refer to as subledgers. Subledgers are automated through transactions up and downstream and presented in real time for finance to be able to review, manage, and cross-reference. Three-way matching of purchase orders to what was actually received and what should be paid, all linked together in one solid cohesive system. The other side of the equation is creating an order, turning that into a production order, and shipping it. Upon shipping, we're automating the invoicing. So all of this allowing a finance team to become a little more proactive and a little bit more measurement managed to be able to create insights around this real-time information. So I want to talk briefly about the hidden gem of ERP, and it really is the original AI tool. So controlling your supply chain and production with material requirements planning, MRP, created 50 years ago, is really key for any business trying to deal with real-time changing supply and demand. Over the last few years, we've seen a lot of challenges with communicating and controlling your supply chains. MRP is going to stay on top of it. The input is that you keep lead times around each product and each supplier and update them when you find out that that lead time is changing. And on the other side is production. So it's going to suggest purchase orders and the timing of those and even delivery schedules from your suppliers, and at the same time create production orders and production releases for your shop floor to meet required demand. And it does so with scheduling. So scheduling and understanding how forecasts and master scheduling come together, rough cut capacity, and true capacity resource planning brings all of this together. And this isn't just a min-max, tell me when to buy some. This is dynamically looking at the changes in the future as you ramp up and ramp down for customer demand requirements in terms of their orders and requirements. This will even tell you that you're buying too much and you should cancel some purchase orders or possibly just adjust them. Here's what that looks like. This is a Gantt chart showing the overall timing of the job, and each operation we're going to notch, form, deburr, and it's going to take certain times on the shop floor, and we're going to be able to do what if analysis and see the effort that we are loading each department with as we go through the process. So what ifs, being able to maximize your throughput. Being able to review your resource capacity is really key, showing you when into the future you're going to have challenges. Perhaps you can move people around, cross-train them. Maybe you can't. Somebody's on holidays and they've got a specific skill set. This is going to give you that information before it happens, allowing you to plan for it. You know, sometimes you need to run some overtime. And, you know, ultimately with these scheduling automation tools, it's really giving you decision support. This is not, you know, an automagical system. It's going to bring all the information to you, and you're going to apply what you know already you can do, which could be overtime, extended shifts, outsourcing and subcontracting, and expediting. Different things you need to do at different times, but it creates for a much more balanced management of your business. And so really, with dashboards, you should be able to see what's happening in the business in a 360-degree fashion. Drill down to any level of detail. This example allows me to right-click and drill into the scheduling of a job, the maintenance, the job entry. I can look at all the resources, but it's telling me something. It's telling me that my total job cost is over, and it's highlighting the fact that my materials are over the amount that was set as the standard. If I drill down, I should be able to see which operator or person on the shop floor or machine created scrap, or what inspection process created scrap, which increased the cost into the job. And the same goes for capacity. You know, we can even look cross horizontal to say, why is Jimmy the guy that seems to be the slowest, but all of his peers do the same job in less time? Maybe it's a training issue, or maybe there's a machine problem. This helps you get to the root cause of things, drive into it, and really challenge and understand what's happening in your business for improvement. So we talked briefly about KPIs and dashboards. The idea that you can give real-time views of the shop floor should be abundant in a modern ERP system. Red, yellow, green, being able to see the productive outputs of each department on a map of the shop floor, measuring everything from process and equipment to statuses. In sales, we can look at it geographically, drill down to see, you know, the sales by state, by province, by region. Looking at salespersons, salespeople, we've set out quotas. How are they doing against the quota? Our business plan is tied to hitting our targets. Are we hitting our targets? Should we be executing at the same level if the sales are down? All of this bringing into context, including, you know, financial aging of your receivables, your payables, understanding that you can deploy multiple metrics. So that, think of this as every time somebody goes into the system, the first thing they're going to see is their department metrics that they're being measured on and that they want to manage. Give your people the visibility of what they need to do, give them a scorecard to see how they're doing, and you would be surprised just at how good they are at managing things. So, wow, sounds great, doesn't it? Well, how do you get started with something like this? You know, the first thing is to justify a project. Why are we doing this? What makes sense? And I think the best thing you can do in a business is follow an order. From the time a customer calls to the time you deliver it, how many touch points, how many spreadsheets, how many different systems need to be translated? How visible are these processes? Can anyone see it? Do you know your true costs to make something? If you're to walk on the shop floor, pick up a work in process part that's just been machined and it's going to a next operation, can somebody tell you what that part costs if it was scrapped right now? These are the types of business questions that you need to know to be agile and run a business in the year 2024 and beyond. So when you look at it, who are the stakeholders for this information? Who needs to access it? What is it worth to improve the timeliness, the service levels the internal confusion and the arguments that you get into about data. Most businesses actually fail with a full order book. It's a failure to plan to scale their business that kills them. And so going bankrupt because you had so many orders and you just couldn't get control, wow, that's a really disappointing outcome. Being ready for that growth is really key. So if you're looking to streamline, for over 50 years, ERP has been previously known as MRP, ERP has been a proven way to do this. It becomes that single system of record, reduces your risk, and a small reality and a little dark secret. I read 5 years ago that China was the biggest purchaser of ERP systems and now has been doing so for over a decade. So if you think that labor cost is the only thing they're doing, they're looking at integrated tools as well. It has become the standard, and you don't see when you drive past your competition a flag that says we run an ERP system or a brand of ERP system. The best ERP system is the one you choose to fit your business and that you use effectively. So let's say you do make a decision and move forward. You've justified the project. You have a sense of what has to happen. Get your team and management on the same page. This needs to be a project that everybody buys into. We know that that's a challenge organizationally, and therein lies a little bit of the people side that I'm passionate about. But review a product, take in vendors. You can learn a lot from watching demonstrations, but really understanding the scope and what you're trying to accomplish is at the heart of doing this well. And once you do decide to move forward, consider the concept of crawl, walk, run. You can't boil the ocean. Incremental change is important to be successful. If you try too much at once, you might find yourself extending the timeline of the project, not achieving your results, and really confusing people with just too much change at one time. And so really that implementation is about getting that commitment, ensuring that you've got a methodology, you've got the people understanding your vision and why you're doing it. They understand the need for changes. We're doing this to stay in business, to be profitable, and have a long-term job here. And ultimately, this idea that we need to be able to support people through that learning process so that they can come out with those measurable results, so that they buy into the KPIs, they understand how their role feeds the information that management needs. Here's an example of an implementation methodology. So the idea that someone's just going to come out and train you and a few months later you're going to be live and running the system couldn't be further from the truth. It's fraught with risk. Having a methodology, assigning a project lead or project manager to the project, both from the vendor and your side of the business, is going to be key. But most systems follow this methodology of plan, design, validate, deploy. And somewhere in there, you're going to do a very comprehensive post-training end-to-end test called a conference room pilot that has everybody doing their functions as if you're up and running and live. And there's going to come a time when you're going to turn off the old ways of doing things and go completely live on the new system. But that people side is really important. If you don't address the people side, if people don't understand why you're doing it, what's in it for them, and that really this is to improve their life, improve their role, and improve the business for the long term, they're really going to be lost. Why am I doing this? What am I doing with this training? What are processes? Why do I need to know this? What we recommend that you document your processes, but you really get people on board. So compelling case for change, having a project manager who owns the project at the task level, working with the team who also needs to own it, having clear business objectives, having executive sponsorship, but ultimately not if, but dealing with when your people show resistance and understanding what that looks like is going to be key. When we think about the big outcomes of a project like this, it's the visibility of your company-wide processes. Every process can be documented and visualized as a result of a project like this. It would be a crime if you did not document them, because ultimately you don't want to be left high and dry when you have staff changes. If you're just growing and adding people, there's that old saying, 1 + 1 does not equal 2 for quite some time when you're coming up with a new hire. In fact, you're less than 1. What we're suggesting is getting somebody onboarded can be extremely efficient and quick if you can show them exactly what to do, where to do it. And so we also recommend something called an end user procedure, which is specifically how to click to create an order, how to create a customer, how to report production, all of the things they need to do in a concise manner. So as we wrap this up, the business impact of ERP, just recapping, improving customer service, lowering costs, improved collaboration, and ultimately greater employee collaboration. So not just customer, not just management, but employees truly understanding their role clarity, and understanding what they're there to do and how to do it. That's really key. And as companies grow, they often forget entrepreneurially that not everyone's going to have all of the experience and knowledge. And in fact, these people have a lot of knowledge in what they're doing today, and they need to bring it to how that system's going to work for the future. So you just can't have one person build the system and deploy it for everybody. We need that feedback. People need to feel like they're part of it. And we need to get some of that great insights that they have from doing this for years. Sometimes your most loyal people will resist, but they're going to see the impact. There'll be that aha moment. Best practices. A lot of companies struggle with trying out all kinds of different things. So a lot of companies struggle with trying different things on an ongoing basis. These best practices are the proven ways that other businesses have done these things. And it doesn't mean that this needs to be pushed down the throat of every one of your people. It means that you can apply them for where you are in your growth cycle and where it makes sense. So right-sizing those best practices, but killing the learning curve associated with trial and error, and be able to get this into place efficiently, creating visibility and creating quality data that people can measure. Increasing the value of your business is really key. And I think you'll find that whether you're an owner or a manager or an employee, keeping the business going, keeping it alive and profitable is good for everybody. It affords growth, it affords opportunities, and profitable growth means that you'll be able to reinvest these earnings, these newfound earnings, back into the production, into the growth, and into the team. So there's a couple of considerations you might want to think about. The technical side is, do I go to cloud, which is more than just hosted, it's a cloud browser-based system, or do I want it on my server, still based in a browser, but we're going to manage it and host it either on our facility or at a hosting facility. The other challenges are really about how we get it done. These systems work. The bigger question is, can you and your team and your culture make it work? And I think in the year 2024 and beyond, these considerations are front and center. The people side is just as important as the technical side. And so technically, the training, the testing, the processing of your data, wonderful. That's going to work if you commit. But making sure that people understand their role and how they commit, it is a journey. And trying to do too much too soon can be a challenge. I've seen many a customer get so focused on the date of go live, and while that's super important, along with the budget, on time, on budget, should be the mantra. But having the emotional intelligence and the understanding that if my people aren't ready, it might be better if we just spend another week, few days to do this, test it out, get it right, get them on board, so that that transition to going live is smooth. Otherwise, I've heard it called a death by 1,000 cuts. When people are not ready, there's a lot of frustration, and you still need to run your business. So I think there's opportunities that come out of just the investigation and review of, are you ready to do something like put in an ERP system? But in the project itself as well, you're really trying to get some early wins, show people, build that confidence. Getting everybody to really understand the business is key. Creating visibility with documentation and process flows, and really the causes and effects that, in the past you may have thought, we just can't control that. It's out of our control. You'd be surprised at how many things you can throw at an ERP system. And because you're collecting consistent data at different points, you will be able to measure, manage better. And ultimately, you're becoming more professional and attract talent. There are people out there that, are looking at not only what would it be like to work there, what are the cool products and processes you have, but also what does my day-to-day life look like? And I think, ERP brings quality of life to everybody's role, which is really important. 90% of the of spreadsheets out there contain errors. And, a good question of the why is, do we have one system of record, one version of the truth? If you can't answer that, you need to go back to the beginning of this and think, perhaps we need to have a case for change. Perhaps we need to look at how we're doing things for the future. So final thought as I wrap this up. My hat goes off to entrepreneurial businesses. I too am an entrepreneur, and I understand that change is tough. Your vision often extends that of the average employee, and so you need to bring things into context. Do they have the tools to do their job efficiently? And so those businesses, when they eventually decide to sell or be acquired or acquire other companies, the value of a company at the same sales level is approximately half of that if they don't have an ERP system in place. Best practices, consistent way of doing things. In fact, they're seen as really an entrepreneurial run business that if the owner left tomorrow, the business would just fail because they're there holding it all together. ERP builds a foundation for growth that defines everybody's roles effectively and has checks and balances. This is true with banks and lending institutions, insurance companies. How well is your business run comes down to how consistent are your processes. Years ago, it used to be, well, do you have ISO? But realistically, an ERP system is a real-time ISO system. It's your SOPs in real time, monitored, managed, and giving you outputs. I work with a lot of companies that are private equity run, and they go out and purchase a company from an entrepreneur. The very first thing they do is put an ERP system in and immediately build value. If you're thinking someday of exiting your business, or you're just simply looking at growing it and have stakeholders involved, why wouldn't you do this? This is just a good investment. It's the difference between keeping your money, your personal money in the bank and investing it. The bank is in your typical account is not going to give you interest. Putting it into an investment is going to pay back dividends. So really, the last piece I'll say about this is your next hire is not probably going to join your company if they think their job is going to be managing spreadsheets day in, day out. Probably not going to last long. So giving them the tools to do their job, to give the insights and value that you pay them for already, that's what ERP is about. And ultimately, this has been proven for over 50 years. Why wouldn't you do it? It's worth looking at. So I want to thank you for your time today. This was my introduction to ERP 101. What can it do? What's in it for me? If you have any questions, my company is Success Partners. We do implementations across North America, single, small sites, multiple sites across countries and warehouses. Ultimately, we can come out and do a no obligation assessment for your business if that's of interest. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to me, and appreciate your time today.